Nigeria and Sierra Leone have always expressed strong commitments to strengthening their bilateral relations. Recently, at a meeting between Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyeama, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Sierra Leone, Samura Wilson Kamara, views were exchanged on global affairs, including the reform of the United Nations Security Council and multidimensional challenges in the process. But that is not the focus today on the program. Today, we shall be bringing you up to speed on Nigeria's exploit while in Sierra Leone. To sustain the conversation is a career diplomat, caller a community leader, a mother, and a seasoned technocrat, the immediate past High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Her Excellency Mrs. Gladys Mudukpeola Quist Adebi. Welcome to Diplomatic Ties. I am Omini Udan. The conversation continues shortly. Well, let me take off retrospectively. I know you're back in Nigeria. You were at the comfort zone doing protocol works at State House when you were posted after tough duty there back to your tough, and you were posted to Sierra Leone. A lot of people saw it as leaving the comfort zone to a difficult terrain. Did that play out?
I will say thank you for having me on Diplomatic Ties. And I will say I'm glad to be back in Nigeria. Well, as a career diplomat, there is no comfort zone and there is no whatever. It's all the same. It's work for us. I'm a diplomat of almost 34 years of experience. So, I mean, being in or out of the country is work. When I have to work, I go and do my work and I come back. But I tell you, there is no place like home.
Okay. So when you arrived, how did it go?
Yes, when I got to the shores of Freetown, the first thing that, the first shock I had was that I had to go from Lungi to Freetown by boat. I wasn't expecting that. So on getting there, I discovered that the residence of the High Commissioner was not habited by my previous colleague, and due to no fault of his, obviously, because it's in a bad shape. He opted to rent an apartment, but being a woman, and I just decided, you know what, I should do something about it, because it's a beautiful edifice. They expressed the interest that they would wish that the High Commissioner lives in the residence. So I said, okay, fine, we're going to do it. Yes, we got it together to, made it habitable, and it became a pride of Nigeria. We could hoist our flag, but I must say I thank the corporate Nigerians in Sierra Leone, especially the architect Abel Nomaki was very instrumental to that, and it became a thing of pride, a joy and pride for all Nigerians. So we flew the flag.
Okay, and you flew the flag.
Yes.
How then did you take off sustaining the relations between Nigeria and Sierra Leone?
Okay, thank you very much. That's very interesting too, because before I left, I knew that most countries will come back and say, oh, they don't like us. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? And being a career diplomat, I know that at the official level, there's no problem with most countries. So I now discover that it's just the people-to-people contact. People don't really understand themselves. And that is why there is this stereotype, there is a lot of misunderstanding between the Nigerians and people they live with. So what I decided to do was, like I said, call the meeting of the Nigerian National Union, the president, the executives, and the corporate Nigerian. We sat down together, we brainstormed. So I told them, look, I'm going to work with you. We're going to get this Nigerian man syndrome. That's what they called it in Sierra Leone when I came in. There was a bit of tension between Nigerians doing business and their Sierra Leonean counterparts and the average Nigerians. So I said, we're going to get rid of this, but you have to work with me. So I said, we're going to use the two-point approach. Tell the few Nigerians, very few Nigerians, and I must say Nigerians in Sierra Leone are very hardworking and they're very law-abiding. But we have one or two pockets, just like in every other country, that are the bad eggs. So I told them, I said, you go to the bad eggs, tell them we're not going to tolerate any bad behavior in town. But for the ones that are working and doing their job, I sent them to tell them that they have the mission solidly behind them and they should keep on doing their job. So I did. After doing that, then I now went to the government and all the agencies. I made sure I paid them a courtesy call. I discussed with every one of them, because what I tried to do was giving a face to Nigeria, and that's because I wanted them to see me as Nigeria. So I went in, met all of them. I mean, we had very good relationship with all of them. I even went to the provinces, all the AIGs of police. I was with them. We discussed, we talked, and I told them what I wanted to do. And funny enough, everybody was on the same page with me. So that is how we're able to do. We were able to go along with that. And then the Nigerians, and then I made sure that I was involved. I just threw myself into the community, the 50-50 women group. The First Lady had her own parade program, which was on the girl child, empowering of the girl child and women. I was actively involved in it. I was involved with the less privileged, the physically challenged. I was everywhere. So everywhere you turned, you saw my face. And the Nigerians, I would say they were fantastic. They supported me and were able to change that stereotype. We were able to change we were able to get them to understand us better, that we're still the same Nigeria. We're very compassionate, we're very generous, and we're very hardworking. Okay. And that was the face I wanted to give to Nigeria, and I'm happy that I succeeded in doing that. And I'm leaving behind Syriano-Nigerian relationship that is very intact and very warm, and most Nigerians are quite happy doing their job there.
So would you say while you served, how many years did you spend in Sierra Leone? Yes,
I got to Sierra Leone, the shores of Freetown, on the 14th of January 2014. Okay. And I left 9th of May 2017. So that's over 3 years.
So you have given us a picture of like a summary. But now let me say the core. At the end of your term in Sierra Leone and you're back, when you look back, what would you say were the landmarks or strides you left behind in terms of building stronger ties between Nigeria and Sierra Leone?
Well, like I said, the first thing I did was give a face to Nigeria, and you cannot quantify what that brought, the type of peace that brought with. And number two, I went to the prisons. When I got there, I went to interview all the Nigerian prisoners. And by the way, there are not many Nigerians in Sierra Leone prison. By the time I left, there were only 12 of them. So I went in, I reviewed all their cases, and I found that there were 2 of them, I will not mention their name on air, that needed political solution for them to get out of prison. And I did that, and I'm happy to announce that before I left, the president gave them presidential pardon, and the 2 of them, one came back to Nigeria with me, the other one will be given the presidential pardon, is being given the presidential pardon, and will be back to Nigeria next week, Wednesday, I was told. So that is one thing I did that I'm very proud of. And number 2, another thing I would say, during the Ebola crisis in the country, because I came in January, and by March, April, we started having these unfortunate incidents of the Ebola crisis. So I rolled up my sleeves with my staff. We went to the nooks and crannies, and to the glory of God, I did not lose any Nigerian to the Ebola scourge.
What did you do?
What I did was, we had to do a lot of hard work. We made sure, number 1, we provided food for a lot of them, so they didn't need to go out all the time when the Ebola crisis was at its peak. Then I got the Nigerian doctors I got their numbers, so we divided people into cells. So if you had malaria or fever and you were not sure, the first person to call was the Nigerian doctor, because I noticed that if they called the general line, they will lump them with the Ebola victims, and they might catch Ebola in the process. They might contact Ebola, in the process. So that's what we did. We divided them into cells. So if you had fever or you had malaria, even I did around the time. So you just called the Nigerian doctor, because we had a lot of TAC volunteers. They are there, they are doctors, and a lot of Nigeria, by the way, gave them about 111 medical personnel during the Ebola crisis to fight the Ebola.
The country, yeah?
Yes, they were from Nigeria, but they went under the ASEOA, the AU response to the Ebola crisis. They went on that. So we had a lot of doctors around. So I called everybody. So we had the numbers, and we were all in the nooks and crannies of the country. So we divided ourselves into cells, and then their ethnic leaders had all their phone numbers, so they could call them if they had any issues. And we now called the Nigerian doctors, who will now see them, and most of them I just had just simple malaria and the rest of it, and they were treated. So that's one strategy we used, we adopted, that I mean protected them from having contacting Ebola. The other thing we did was that for the vulnerable, I made sure that there is this lady, a Nigerian lady in the Hausa mosque. She was giving them food. She was providing food for them round the clock until the end of Ebola, so that they didn't have to go on the streets. Okay. They didn't have to go begging, because when they go begging, they go on the street, the possibility of contacting Ebola was very high. And again, we did a lot of education on their radio, because most of them listen to the radio. We did Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, and Pidgin English, telling them on how to avoid contacting Ebola, and when they have any issues, who to call, and if it gets serious, they should get the ambulance and go to the hospital immediately. And I must say that's what saved 2 Nigerians that contacted Ebola. Actually, they were just being funny, because they went to help a Sierra Leonean colleague, a friend of theirs, whose wife died of Ebola.
Ultimately, they survived.
They survived. Obviously, they survived. And the most important thing is that we saw them through their treatment, and when they were done, my officer brought them to Nigeria and handed them over to the CDC in Lagos.
Okay.
Yes.
The Center for Disease Control.
Yes, Center for Disease Control in Lagos.
Now, there's a new development which has not really spread, and the federal government has taken a lot of very proactive stance to ensure that it doesn't by any inch get to Nigeria. Yeah. With the experience you had in Sierra Leone while you were serving as High Commissioner, if you're asked, what advice will you add to what the health value chain is doing in Nigeria?
I think the health value chain in Nigeria are doing fantastic, because I would tell them when I was in Sierra Leone, we were proud of them. We used the Nigerian experience to talk to the Sierra Leoneans, because initially they felt that they didn't believe it was Ebola. They felt that it was political, it was witchcraft, it was so many things. Until I came on board and I shared the Nigerian experience with them. So Nigerian health personnel are doing great. They did great, and I'm sure they're doing great. All we just need to do is educate our people more.
Okay. Our conversation on Diplomatic Ties today is on Nigeria's exploit in Sierra Leone. And my guest is the immediate past Nigeria's High Commissioner to that country, Her Excellency Ambassador Gladys Quist Adebi. The discussion continues after this time out. Okay, let's go into diplomacy now. People will expect to hear that you sustain Nigerian relations between Nigeria and Sierra Leone in the areas of trade, culture. Did you go into these areas?
Thank you very much for the question. On March, when I got in January, in March I led a team of Nigerians here. We were at a holiday inn on a road show. And the Sierra Leone side was led by the Minister of Trade and Industry. So we came in here, and of course we had there were a lot of offers for Nigerians to come over to trade. And apart from that, I worked very well with the Slipper. That's the Sierra Leone Export Investment Program. Okay. Slipper. Okay. It's like our NNPC anyway. Okay. And is an NEPC. Okay. Nigerian Export Promotion Council. That's the equivalent. Okay. So I worked with them, and I got them to set up the aftercare desk. So that is like a one-stop shop we have in Nigeria. I introduced that to them, and it's really helped a lot. Then we had some Nigerian business people talking about the ECOWAS export, whatever waiver they are supposed to give them, that they were not actually giving them. They said they made it difficult. So I had to see the agencies involved, and we talked about it, and they made it easy. They made it easy for them.
One would say it's one thing to start something. Did you work out a model or a modem that will ensure sustainability of what you started?
Well, of course, government is a continuum.
Okay.
It's a continuum. I have my handing over note. I have my staff in the mission. I mean, I didn't do the job alone. Obviously, I did with some officers.
Okay.
They were posted with me. So they all and Nigerian community at large have been working with us, and they're part of it involved.
Okay, so far you have talked about your relations in the area of health, in the area of
Sorry, then the area of health.
Okay.
Let me come with the area of health.
Okay.
What we found out was that the health system in Sierra Leone is fragile. So what we did was work with the Technical Aid Corps program in Nigeria. So we got a lot of medical personnel to come in, and especially even after the Ebola, and they've been doing fantastic. They've been very fantastic. The medical personnel we took from Nigeria to Sierra Leone, very hardworking. They made us proud. So yeah.
So at the end of your tenure, what will you say is the position of Nigeria, Sierra Leone, in terms of relations?
Well, I left the relationship intact.
Okay.
Yes, I left it intact, and of course, definitely much warmer than I met it.
So if your successor sustains the tempo you activated,
yes,
what are you looking at maybe in the next 5 years, Nigeria, Sierra Leone?
I look at a closer relationship between our two countries, and I'm looking for more trade, because another area I'll talk to you about is the area of trade and movement of personnel, because I found out that it's because we have difficulty in connecting. In traveling in the sub-region. That's why there are a lot of misconceptions, and people don't really interact at that level. So my colleague, the ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, is a Nigerian, Tunde Ajishomo. We worked together and we got Medvi on board.
Okay.
To come to say
Medvi is a Nigerian airline?
No, Medvi is a Nigerian airline. Okay. So we got it on board to bridge the gap, that was there. So from there to now to Sierra Leone, it's very easy. You just sit on board. You stop over in Ghana, and you are in Nigeria. So it's encouraging more people now to come to Nigeria, because I spoke with a lot of Sierra Leoneans. They've heard of Nigeria, but you'll be surprised that a lot of Sierra Leoneans have never been to Nigeria.
But we have a lot of Nigerians who are in Sierra Leone.
Well, Nigerian population in Sierra Leone should be about 25,000, although the missions record is about 5,000 to 6,000. That's what we have registered in the mission. Yes, and they're doing very well. You have the boys on Abuja streets who are working very hard. They are the traders, and they are empowering their Sierra Leonean counterparts by letting them go through their apprenticeship in their businesses, and they're doing very well. They're respected. So generally, I would say that Nigerians in Sierra Leone are very hardworking. They're doing very well, and my experience with them has been very good. And I think that for most Nigerians, if they see that you leading them, you are sincere, and you're focused, and you know what destination they are going into, they go with you. That's been my experience in Sierra Leone. And in fact, by the way, I got a Nigerian to help me renovate my office and the chancellery. The entrance of the chancellery at no cost to federal government. Willingly, they did it. So that's the power of persuasion, a power of taking them on board and letting them know, inclusiveness, I would say. When you let them know that they are all part of the system and you're working for them, they'll come in. And another thing I want to tell you is that I have a Nigerian whose wife was deported from America, but unfortunately for them, I think they have a next available plane dropped him in France. It was the winter period. The woman was pregnant. She had a 1-year-old baby. So he said he wanted to come to the Nigerian High Commission to complain, to see what we can do. Some people say, oh, don't go there, they won't do anything to you. He came to meet me, and to his amazement, I was there. I opened my door to him, and he told me everything. I just made a phone call to my colleague in France, and we started the whole thing for him. And by the second or third day, the wife was in Freetown. He couldn't believe it. It's like, oh, so this system works. So I'll tell Nigerians is that the missions are there for you. Go and try it, and you know it really works. We are there to work for you, to make the life of Nigerians easy outside the country.
Okay, now do you miss Sierra Leone? You're back in Nigeria. Do you miss Sierra Leone?
Well, yes. To some extent, yes. But mind you, I'm a career diplomat. I've gone to so many other countries too. Yes, but Sierra Leone, yes, I made friends, like family. Like I said, the first lady of the country, we worked together, and she happened to be my very good friend too. And even the president of the country, because I work closely with them on so many programs. So I'll miss them. Why not? Yes, I will. And I have a lot of friends in Sierra Leone now who are more like my sisters. Yes.
Did you come face to face with issues of illegal migrants, maybe from Nigeria to Sierra Leone?
Oh, yes.
Did you have such cases?
Oh, yes, I did.
How did you handle them?
Yeah, what we did is that because I have this good working relationship with the Nigerian community, they let me know. So we will try to get back a lot of them. We did. From the meager resources of the mission, at times I do. And when I don't have the money, I call on the corporate Nigeria and some of these other people to help me.
So
we get them back to Nigeria.
Maybe checking it from this end, what advice will you have for parents or families that encourage their children to go on migration without maybe official links or what have you?
I think the Nigerian media is doing very well, because I've seen on the media, is it NTA program showing them when the guy said he has a passport, he wants to travel, and they have to tell them no, they are going through the borders and stuff, and that is not the right way to go. I think Nigerians should listen, and then the people always think the grass is greener on the other side until you get there and you see that there is no greener grass on the other side. Every economy in the world is going through its own problems, and Nigeria is going through its own patch, and we're definitely going to come out of it. So it's better for you not to sell yourself into slavery and sit it out. And if you're hardworking in Nigeria, I assure you, you have something to eat. But if you go to the other side, you don't have family, you'll be hungry. Nobody will be able to give you anything. No, not on Nigeria. People are generous. They give you money. They give you food. Nobody's going to give you anything. You are going to end up being killed or going to criminality, and then you end up in jail or you are deported. So the best thing for everybody to do is to be content with what they have. Let us pull all our sleeves together, pull all our sleeves up. Those countries work to make their country great. Let us work with government and make our country great for us and our children. I think that's the advice I'll give to any Nigerian that wants to leave this country. It is not worth it.
Okay. You're a career diplomat.
Yes.
And I know you are an embodiment of a lot of knowledge. Mm. What will you say maybe to other, imagine you are addressing other nationals now about Nigeria and its posture about national interest diplomacy with other nations?
Well, like you know, in foreign affairs, we've had citizen diplomacy, we've had economic diplomacy, we have everything to take care of our citizens. So we have the posture to take care of our citizens and to be great to be our brother's keeper. At the same time, we have been able to manage that. Like I said, during the Ebola, Nigeria was the first country to rise up, to start the African country to help Sierra Leone. We were there, the government gave them money, $500,000 US. We were the first, the largest contingent of medical personnel into the country. So we are by every standard, you know, I mean, living up to our expectation. At the same time, I mean, you see what the ministry is doing, getting Nigerians back and taking care of them, and all the circulars and all the efforts of the present government towards making that there is ease of doing business, that I mean, Nigerians are well looked after. I think the government is doing the best. We have everything on ground for everybody to see. Okay. So nobody needs convincing. I think if you listen and you see what is happening around you, you know that Nigeria is moving forward. Yes.
So we pride ourselves to be the big brother Africa. Yes. Did you see that during your tenure there? Oh,
sure, I did.
How did you play that?
I did. Nigeria is respected because we did a lot for the country. But mind you, Nigerians keep forgetting too that Sierra Leone's Nigerian relationship predates our independence. Most of the technocrats we have in Nigeria, the foundation technocrats we have in Nigeria, were trained from Forabe College. So it's like I say, it's not a one-way situation. It's a win-win situation. It's a two-way situation. That's what we have. And Nigerians really have always cooperated in international fora. They've always supported us, and we've always supported them. So that is the kind of relationship we have. It's a win-win situation that we have within the two countries, and they respected us for all we've done and what we keep doing. And even in the country, I must say that Nigeria is still giving its pride of place, even among the other in the diplomatic community. So, from my own experience, Nigeria is still the big brother. Yes, we have problems, just like every country in the world has its problem. I wish that we don't focus too much on our problem, for us to forget that Nigeria is a big country. Nigeria is big by every standard or every measure you want to look at it, no matter what we see. And then we have a government that is in place and trying so hard to make sure that we still afloat. Okay. Every country has its own problems.
Okay, you're parting short for the diplomatic community in Nigeria.
Diplomatic community in Nigeria,
you're parting short.
They should do the best they can be and integrate into our system and help us develop, because that's what we do in other countries too. We help them in their development, their aspiration to develop. So they should support us to develop and integrate in our society. And I mean, yes, I think that's what I'll tell them to do, and report positively and brightly about Nigeria. Yes.
So now you're back to Nigeria, and by chance maybe they tell you, okay, you can't sit here, you have to move. Are you ready?
Oh, why not?
Okay.
I'm a career diplomat. I've always moved all my life. And that is what I know how to do.
Okay.
So I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Gladys Quist Adebi. It was nice talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me on this program.
Our focus once again on Diplomatic Ties today was Nigeria's exploit in Sierra Leone, and we have looked at health, business, culture, security, migrational issues. My guest is the immediate past Nigerian High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Her Excellency Ambassador Gladys Quist Adebi. Thanks for watching, and be our guest same time on behalf of all of us. Bye-bye.